Good morning, children. Welcome to English class. Children, in today's session, we are going to discuss lesson 8, Birbal and the cooking pot. The theme of the lesson is our country. So, this lesson is a skit. It's a play. So, the title of the play is Birbal and the cooking pot. Here, the characters in this play are Akbar, courtiers, drummer, child, Birbal, washerman, messenger, the people, as well as the washerman's wife. These are the characters in the play. Now here the first scene. The first scene is in the palace balcony of the king Akbar. It is morning and the view is of a palace balcony overlooking a river. Akbar and Beerbal are walking up and down the balcony. So, in the morning, in the palace balcony, Akbar and his minister Birbal, King Akbar and his minister Birbal are walking up and down in the balcony. Now here the conversation between Akbar and Birbal goes on. Akbar says to Birbal that, Birbal, I have heard that the water in this river is very cold. Is it true? Then Birbal says, yes, Your Majesty. And then Akbar replies to Birbal that if a man stood in this water, then Akbar says to Birbal that if a man stood in this water for one whole night, would he die? Then Birbal replies, certainly, Your Majesty, no ordinary man could survive this cold. Then Akbar, thoughtfully stroking his chin, says, well, here is my chance to test the strength of the common man in my kingdom. Birbal listened to the king Akbar that the emperor whispers into Birbal's ear. Birbal shows surprise, then nods. So here the first scene is in the palace balcony. One morning Akbar and Birbal are walking up and down in the balcony. Then King Akbar says to Birbal that, Birbal, have you heard that the water in this river is very, very cold? Is it true? Then Birbal replies, yes, Your Majesty. So it's a respectable word as Your Majesty. Then Akbar says that if a man stands in this water for the whole night, would he die or alive? Then Birbal replies that certainly, Your Majesty, ordinary man cannot bear the cold, so he can't survive in this cold water. Then Akbar, he thought for some time, rubbing his chin, says, well, here is my chance that to test the strength of a common man who is living in my kingdom. I want to know the strength of the common man. I want to put a test to the common man to test his strength. And Akbar says something. He whispers in the ears of the Birbal. Now Birbal listens to Akbar's words very carefully, but he was surprised. Then he nods his head. So that is scene 1. Now in scene 2, in the afternoon, in a busy part of the town, a drummer beats his drum loudly and people gather round him. Now, in the morning, the conversation was between the king and the minister, and kings get an idea and he informs to his minister. Now, scene 2 is in the afternoon. Now the town was very busy with all the people, and here a drummer, he beats his drum and gives the announcement to the people, to the public who are there in the street. Now all the people, by hearing the drum sound, they gathers around the drummer. Now here the drummer gives the announcement loudly that listen, the great emperor Akbar's reward. He'll beat the drum. When the people heard the drum sound, all gathered around the drummer. Then drummer loudly says that listen. Now all the people listens to the drummer, the announcement about the great emperor Akbar's reward. The announcement goes like this. Anyone who can stand for one night in the river near the palace will be richly rewarded. On the pavements, people stop and talk excitedly. Impossible. Who will do it? Shall we try? Too risky. A poor washerman whispers to his wife. So the people will gather to listen the announcement of the drummer about the great emperor Akbar's reward. Here the reward is: if anyone can stand one night, the whole night in the river which is there near the palace, then he is going to be awarded, richly awarded by Emperor Akbar. So the people who were there on the pavements, they talk excitedly that is it possible? It's impossible to stay one whole night in that river. And here few were discussing like who will do it? Shall we try it? If we try, it will be too risky. So like that, the discussions are going on among the people. Here, a poor washerman whispers to his wife that washerman says that this is a good chance. If I get this reward, we can live well. Then wife says, no, I don't want that. You will freeze to death and I will be left alone to cry. Then washerman replies, don't worry, nothing will happen to me. After all, I wash clothes in the cold water of the river every day. Now, by listening to the announcement, washerman, he says slowly to his wife that this is a very good chance that if I stand in the river for whole night, I may get good reward so that we can live very happily. Then wife says that no, I don't want you do that. If you stand in the river, you will be freezed and at last you may die. If you die, I have to left alone and the whole life I has to cry. But washerman says that don't worry, nothing is going to happen to me. After all, I am the washerman and I wash clothes in the cold water of the river every day. So what is there? I can stand in the river. That is scene 2. Now next, scene 3. It is night and the washerman is standing in the middle of the river. The reflection of lights from the palace can be seen in the water. Some people come and look at him, shake their heads and go away. Some people say, so here scene 3 is the washerman is standing in the middle of the river water. So the reflections of the light from the palace is falling into the water. And some of the people from the palace, they come out and they look at the washerman. They shake their heads and they go away. Few people were discussing like one man said, poor man, he will die before the night is out. And the second man, a foolish thing to do. Well, let us pray for him. So they were talking like this. By seeing the washerman standing in the middle of the river, they often coming out from the palace, seeing him, and they are going on and they were discussing like one of the man said that, poor man, before the morning only he is going to die. He will die before the night is out. So before the morning only he is going to die as he is standing in the cold water. The second man said that it's very foolish thing to do. Now let we all pray for the washerman, let him alive. So let us pray. So standing in water, in that cold water, is really a foolish thing. So let us pray for him. That is scene 3. Now next scene 4. The next morning the washerman, alive and well, walks out of the river. People shouting and clapping with joy. Thank God he is alive. Lucky man to get the reward. And wife greets her husband with relief. Oh, I was so worried about you. Then the child says, Father, you are so brave. Will the emperor reward you now? Then washerman replied, yes, of course. Didn't I pass the test? Now scene 4 is the next morning. Now the next morning the washerman is alive and he is very well and he walks out of the river. Now by seeing the washerman, people all they have shouted and clapped with happiness, with joy, and said that thank God he is alive. So this man is so lucky that he is alive, and he's so lucky that he's going to get a good reward from the emperor. Then wife congratulates him. She greets her husband with relief, and she said that, "Oh, I was so worried about you." Then the child said that father, he praises his father that you are so brave. Now will the emperor would give the reward to you? Then washerman says that yes, of course, I have passed the test. So yes, of course. And he also says that didn't I pass the test? As I pass the test, emperor definitely give reward to me. That is scene 4. Now next scene 5, at the court. At the court, Emperor Akbar is seated on his throne and Birbal is near him. The courtiers and the guards are in place. The washerman enters with his family and bows before Akbar. Now scene 5 is in the Akbar's court. Now Akbar is seated in his seat and Birbal is near to the Akbar, and the courtiers and the guards, everyone are there in their own places. Then the washerman enters the court with his family. He bows before the Akbar. Then Akbar says to the washerman that we are very happy with you, young man. You have proved your strength. Come, take your reward. A man enters with a silver tray full of coins. As Akbar is about to give the coins to the washerman, a courtier says, "Your Majesty, this man does not deserve the reward." Now, by seeing the washerman, Akbar says that we are so happy by seeing you gentlemen. You have proved your strength by standing in the middle of the river for a whole night. Now, it's time to give reward to you. Then meanwhile a man enters with a silver tray with full of coins. Now the washerman is very happy as he is going to get the reward. Now when Akbar is about to give the coins to the washerman, a courtier says that, "Your Majesty, this man does not deserve the reward." He says to king that, "Majesty, he is not the right person to receive the reward. For the water was not really cold. You see, the lights from your palace kept it warm." Akbar thoughtfully, you do have a point. Well, if that is so, then there is no question of a reward. The washerman goes away sadly with his family. The jealous courtier smiles wickedly. Birbal looks very upset and angry. Now here, this is Akbar, and here the Birbal is standing, and washerman, his son and wife, they came to the court to receive the reward from the king. Now, when the king is about to give the reward to the washerman, a courtier says that no, this man has not proved his strength. He doesn't deserve to take a reward. Then Akbar listens carefully to the courtier. Courtier says that the light from your palace which has fallen in the river kept him warm. So the water in the river are not really cold. The lights made the cool water warm. That's why he doesn't deserve to take the reward. Now by listening to the words of the courtier, Akbar thinks for some time. Thoughtfully he says that in that case, now there is no need to give the reward to the washerman. So he won't give any reward to the washerman. Now washerman is very sad, and he returned back to his home with his family. Now he returns back with very upset and sad. The washerman goes out very sadly, but Birbal looks very angry with this incident, and here the courtier was very jealous. He smiles wickedly. Jealous courtier smiles as his plan was worked out, but Birbal was very upset and angry because the washerman is so sad that he had not received any reward from the king. That is scene 5. Scene 6 is the other day. Now what happens the other day we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay children. Now with this, we'll close today's session. Now coming to today's your homework, read lesson 8, Birbal, the cooking pot. Okay children? Okay, that's it for today. See you in the next session. Bye children.